Ladies and gentlemen, it's a lot of people's favorite time of the week. It is Colin Cowherd's Herd Hierarchy with me, the GOAT, the king of power rankings, reviewing and reacting. I've done this every week so far. I put out my power rankings on Tuesday morning. I recorded them Monday night, specifically because I believe my power rankings are the best power rankings in the industry. So let's see how mine stacked up with Colin's and his reasoning. Colin, take it away. Jason McIntyre, very nice shirt again, my friend.
Here we go, the Herd Hierarchy. Let's roll.
Herd Hierarchy.
Time is now. Let's go.
The top 10 NFL teams according to Colin. Number 10.
All right, don't sell your Minnesota Vikings stock. They have the Saints and the Bears coming up. They're going to get really, really healthy.
I think Minnesota's right there. I have them in that 11 to 13 range. I had them just out of mine. My biggest thing with Minnesota, I think Minnesota's good. I trust Kevin O'Connell. I trust Justin Jefferson. I do not trust Kirk Cousins. And I don't trust Dalvin Cook either. But Kirk Cousins plays the most important position in sports. And until he proves he can win a primetime game consistently, there's no reason for me to put them in the top 10 if he can't win primetime games, which means he can't win playoff games, etc., etc., etc.
Their only loss came on the road to the Eagles, and a lot of people think the Eagles are the best team in the league. Now, their defense is an issue. They hired an offensive coach. They have regressed defensively. They're giving up like 415 yards a game. Don't sell all your stock here. They're going to get healthy. Schedule lightens up. They did thump the Packers. Vikings at 10.
Number 9.
The Rams, I have them lower than everybody else. I think they're...
Is he watching my power rankings? Because I had the Rams a little higher. I mean, I think the Rams are one of those teams where you don't want to play them. You know who they are. They know who they are. Whenever the time comes, a.k.a. the playoffs, they can play well. They have pieces. They still have Aaron Donald. They still have Jalen Ramsey. They're going to get healthier as the season progresses. I would not be surprised at all in week 8 if they were like 5-3, 4-4, and then all of a sudden they took off. And next thing you know, you look up and they're an 11, 12 win team.
Sloppy. I think they are missing their center. Downgrade at left tackle. Cam Akers fumbled again at the goal line. Is Allen Robinson washed? He can't get open. Van Jefferson's out for another month and a half. Now, Matthew Stafford has a lot of picks, but he also leads the NFL, completing 72% of his throws. So Stafford gives you get the penthouse and the outhouse. It's the classic. You get great and you get some trouble. But they're giving the ball away this year. 7 giveaways.
What happens if you don't practice? Like I think the Rams are the team that teams will look at moving forward and say, okay, we need to play a little bit in the preseason. They're basically going through preseason reps right now in real time.
Through 3 games, they're too sloppy. I think their head coach and culture is winning games right now. They're not right. The fact they're in the top 10, and I think they've got a million questions, speaks to how good McVay and the overall culture of the organization is. I have them 9.
Number 8.
An inch behind the Bucs. Bucs are going to be really good. They're just not healthy. Here's how you know the Bucs are good. Number 1 scoring defense in the NFL and the most takeaways in the NFL. So the side that Brady doesn't play for is nails. They're going to be really good, top 3-4 team in the league. They're just not healthy.
I agree with that. I think I had the Bucs. I'm holding on to my Bucs stock because of that exact reason. I think that when they are healthy, they're probably the second best team in the NFC. Somewhere in there. Second or third best team in the NFC. We haven't seen them healthy. Now, my only detractor, my only negative to that is that, yeah, they're going to get healthy in the wide receiver ranks, but they can't really get healthy on the offensive line. They will have some issues on the offensive line, and that's really looking rough. And, of course, I've lamented on this a lot this year, but I think Todd Bowles is ruining this offense. The offense is just not that dynamic. To go from the 4 quarters they had against the Saints to the 4 quarters they had against the Packers, this is not a good offense. Now, maybe it is because Godwin, Jones, and Evans are out. Maybe that is the situation. We won't know until they get back. But with Tom Brady, I'm never counting this team out. And like Colin said, their defense is absolutely disgusting. Defense travels. Defense wins playoffs games.
I took them this week, and then I found out Mike Evans and Julio Jones could also not play. If they were healthy, they would have beaten the Packers. They were missing Evans, Goodwin, Julio Jones. Come on. You can't take away the 3 best receivers for a team and ask them to beat a competent quarterback, a competent team like Green Bay. Bucks are fine.
Number 7.
But I like the Niners roster more.
So, man, I love the Niners. I mean, I have a Super Bowl ticket on the Niners, 20-1. I had them at 6 last week, but they're gonna have to prove it to me. And I'll tell you this too: if I'm not really concerned about the Broncos' loss because they played as bad as you can play, and were a point off. They were a fluke safety away. Their starting quarterback was literally exiled from preseason, exiled from training camp. So he's trying to catch up to the NFL season. He's basically in his first week of practice. They will be fine, and they are dealing with some injuries. They will be fine. The one thing that is making me hesitant with the Niners is that they have to deal with Trent Williams being out. He's out with a high ankle sprain, and if he's out for a significant amount of time, that is as big of a lineman injury as it might be the biggest injury to a lineman that can affect like teams in the NFL this season, if that made any sense. Out of all the linemen, he's the guy that can most impact a team, especially a team like the Niners, who are so dependent on their offensive line. So I'm concerned with Trent Williams and his injury. If you told me he's going to miss 2 games, I'd be okay. But if he misses, high ankle sprain's serious. A lot of people say it's better to break your ankle. So if he's out for 6 weeks, something like that, can the Niners get into the playoffs without him? I'm not so sure. The Niners are not the team you want to see in the playoff. The defensive front, the defense as a whole is legit. They are real. I trust Kyle Shanahan. I trust Jimmy Garoppolo. But without Trent Williams, that takes away a huge cog in what they want to do. So I've got some reserves now until I hear more about that injury. So that's the one thing that's holding me off of the Niners right now.
The Niners offense is the only had 2 3-and-outs all year, the whole season. With Trey Lance and Garoppolo, how good is their personnel? Only 2 3-and-outs all year. Lowest percentage in the NFL.
I also believe the Broncos game with the Niners was the only game in NFL history where a team had 8 or more 3-and-outs and win the game. It was something like that, or maybe 8 more than I think it was the only game in NFL history where a team had 8 more 3-and-outs than their opponent and still win. So that shows how much of an anomaly the Broncos win was.
So their defense, the only team in the league holding people under 4 yards a play. They are stacked defensively, stacked at weapons. Do not love their offensive line, and Trent Williams is out. I would put them like 3, but right now their offensive line is in flux. But they do have the Panthers.
They're not 3. If they beat Denver and Trent Williams wasn't hurt, I probably the highest I could go with them is 5.
And the Falcons coming up after the Rams, and I like their chances against the Rams.
I love their chances against the Rams if Trent Williams was healthy. If they can find a way to beat the Rams, and Shanahan usually can do that with McVay. If they can find a way to beat the Rams, and like Colin said, the rest of the schedule is kind of easy, you get a 3-game winning streak going, I'll feel real good.
A really Buffalo-level roster. 7 for the Niners.
Number 6.
Bengals got right. We predicted it. They're fine.
No. This is crazy. The Bengals this high is bananas. The Bengals haven't proven anything. The Bengals, I'm not gonna lie. I was looking at this. It was a little fugazi. Their win against the Jets. I mean, I was kind of shocked because they dominated the game. Unless I'm mixing this up with something else. But if you look at total plays, Jets win that. Total yards about the same. Jets obviously a lot of late yards. Yards per play 5 to 4.3. Rushing, the Bengals still cannot run the football, 2.5 yards per rush, and they benefited from winning the turnover margin by 3. So this is not getting right. I mean, this isn't very impressive at all. I mean, you're playing one of the worst, one of the bottom 4 or 5 teams in the NFL, and this is what happens. Like, this is it. You win the turnover margin by this much. And the rest is just kind of bang even, just bang equal. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they got issues. They have real issues. The real issues here is that they're having trouble protecting Burrow, and they cannot run the football. They try, and another huge problem is that this is an upgraded offensive line that's playing worse than last year when the worst part of their team was the offensive line. Now, I say all that to say this, is that at the end of the year, I think that Joe Burrow is good enough, and his receivers and his assets around him are good enough that the Bengals will be a top 10 team. I don't trust Zach Taylor. Those things, like Taylor, the line, the running game, if they can fix themselves, the Bengals for sure can be a top 10 team. But if those things don't fix themselves, they're not a top 10 team. Now they play Miami. I'll talk about this later.
They've run more offensive plays than anybody in the league.
I'll go ahead and say it before Colin says it. They play Miami Thursday night. I think they beat Miami in that game. If they beat Miami in that game, then they are right. That's the get right game. If they drop that game to Miami after after their defense was on the field for 90 plays and the Buffalo Bills had 40 minutes of offense in 100-degree heat, if the Miami Dolphins turn around on a short notice and beat the Bengals, then that shows you that the Bengals haven't fixed nothing, and the Jets were in a get-right game, and the Bengals are exactly where they were before the Jets, which is in trouble.
League, they're top 10 in scoring defense. Joe Burrow last 2 games, no picks, 4 touchdowns. Now, they've got to run the ball better, and they're still making too many mistakes. But again, we're going to know a lot about this team in the next 2 weeks because they host the tired Dolphins this week, then it's the Ravens. So maybe I'm a little high on them, but I watched the second half against the Cowboys, and I watched the Jets game, and they feel right to me. Weapons, quarterback, tackles, pass rush, they feel right to me.
Number 5.
Tackles,
I'll give the Dolphins
kicks.
credit, only remaining undefeated AFC.
So I had the Dolphins at 4, and that was a very controversial situation. I think 5 is a little low for them. The Dolphins are sweet. Now, the Bills thing can go both ways. So my thing with the Dolphins is that the Bills box score was the most fugazi box score of all time. The Bills had 300 more yards of offense, held the ball for 40 minutes. The Dolphins had about 20. The Bills dominated, but the Dolphins got the win. Now, on one hand, you can say fugazi, right? You can say, the result is fake. On the other hand, you can say, look, the Dolphins are good enough that they're beating the best team in the NFL, even while getting dominated. They're still finding a way to win. And good teams find a way to win. So I think it is a negative with a little bit of positive in there. I think 5 is a little low. I like the Dolphins. I like what the Dolphins can do. I think I said this last week. I think they can press the Bills for this division. I really do. I love Mike McDaniel. I think Tua is showing that he's a great quarterback now that he's being developed and he actually has a plan and a coach. The Dolphins stock is sky high. I love what the Dolphins have going on. I'm just not sold on them being in that tier with Buffalo, Kansas City, and Philadelphia. I'm interested to see 5 seems low.
AFC team. Here's the thing about Tua.
I guess Baltimore is 4.
Last 12 games, Dolphins are 11-1. They're winning games. What do I always say? Got to be productive as a quarterback. I don't care what it looks like, and you got to win games.
I just said that. I just said that about the wins.
Now, they're going to Cincinnati short week. I think they're in trouble.
I said that. I said that 2 minutes ago. I said they're in trouble.
But I've got to be honest. First 3 games, Tua's passer ratings, he's the only guy over 100. He's doing the Breeze thing, and he's got great weapons. So I don't think Miami's a championship team, but I picked him to make the playoffs. This looks like a playoff team to me.
I just said all that. It's unbelievable. That's why I release my power rankings first, and that's why I react to these videos. These cats are getting paid millions of dollars to do this all day long. I'm not getting paid any dollars to do this 1 hour a day with no notes. There's not a note on my table. There's not an assistant. There's not nothing. The fact that I can do this, with nothing, just off the top of my dome, I'm the only person that can do this, is really unbelievable.
4.
I still think the Ravens are really, really good. I thought they outplayed Miami.
They did. They're 21-0. The Ravens are really good. Lamar Jackson is so underrated. It's disgusting. I'm so sick and tired of people saying he's not a quarterback. He's just a running back playing quarterback. Lamar Jackson is a monster. He is so good. Now, unlike the Baltimore Ravens of past, their defense is terrible. Their defense is a legit problem. I don't think you can put them at 4 because of how bad their defense is. If they can shore up that defense, their offense is as good as any offense in the NFL. Their offense is right there with Buffalo, with Kansas City, with whoever you want to throw out there. So Baltimore is legit. But, man, I don't know if a team can win at a high clip, especially in the playoffs, especially in the AFC, with the defense that's bad. That is that bad.
Their defense is struggling. But a lot of that is on the back end, they got kids. But they have the number 1 scoring offense in the league. They have 12 offensive touchdowns. They're the opposite of the New York Giants. They get into the end zone. The Ravens get into the end zone. Also, who leads the NFL in passer rating? Their quarterback, Lamar. So they're scuffing on the back end of their defense. That's why I can't make them a top 3
That's what I
team.
said.
This is a really explosive team. They don't settle for field goals, folks. They get in the red zone, they give you 7. In the end, that's what I say about Daniel Jones. You got to give me points. You got to give me touchdowns.
That's what I just said.
They give them to you.
Number 3.
Kansas City. Most of that.
This is who I had at 3 as well. I think my 3-hour 3-2-1 is going to be the exact same. For the record, I think we have the same top 5 teams. I just have Baltimore, and I think I have Green Bay at 5. I think I have Miami at 4, Green Bay at 5, and I think Baltimore's in there.
Lost to the Colts with special teams. It was a disaster. They muffed a punt. They missed an extra point. They had a fake field goal not work.
They also had, I think the Chiefs, they had like 4 drives within the Indy 40 that resulted in like 6 points. It was just one of those like anomaly games for the Chiefs. I don't put a lot of stock into that, honestly. I don't put a lot of stock into that win by the Colts. I think the Chiefs are still nasty. The thing with the Chiefs, they're almost like the reverse Ravens. The Chiefs' defense is really, really good. The Chiefs have a really strong pass rush, and Patrick Mahomes is playing like Patrick Mahomes. But I mean, they are almost a team now where they're going to beat you with their defense, and Mahomes is kind of a supplement. Whereas before it was like, hey, we're going to score 50 points. Good luck. Like, we don't even need a defense. So that's something you won't hear from a lot of people, but their defense is legit.
They missed a 34-yard field goal. That's why they lost the game. They had a bad special team Sunday. But they have 10 offensive touchdowns. Only the Ravens and the Lions have more. They have the best sack differential, so they're getting to the other quarterback. They're fine. They're fine. They had a really bad special team Sunday, and it happens.
They're fine.
Number 2.
Philadelphia.
Woo!
Number 1 total.
Okay, so we have these flipped. So I have Philly as number 1, and he's still holding on to Buffalo. Okay, I respect that. But I think Philly right now is far and away the best team in the NFL. If we're going by a week-to-week basis, which I think we both do, I don't see how you can have Philly. The way Jalen Hurts is playing right there with Josh Allen. Probably right now he's probably playing better than Josh Allen. I can't sleep at night because I'm up thinking about Jalen Hurts. What?
Offense. They're converting almost 49% of their third downs. Jalen Hurts is hard to defend. They move the sticks. They pick up.
He's the MVP right now, bottom line.
First downs, keeping your quarterback off the field. Here's the other thing I like. Jalen Hurts leads the NFL passing yards per attempt. So don't tell me he's thrown underneath and playing.
Oh, hell no. Hell no. He is not. If you watch that game, any Eagles game, he is letting it go. I mean, he's throwing bombs. You know who he looks like? He kind of looks like Russell Wilson. Like, remember when Russell Wilson used to just throw bombs? Like, they used to say he was the best deep ball thrower in the NFL. But he would just uncork these, like, 60-yard, like, super high arching passes to Lockett and Metcalf. That's what Jalen Hurts is doing. He's just letting it go. And Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown are coming down with it. I can tell you this. The last thing they were doing is throwing short routes. He airs it the fuck out.
It's safe. He is throwing it down the field, yards per attempt and yards per completion. The Eagles lead. This is a big play offense.
Big time.
They're like a little bit like Cincinnati last year.
They're so much better than Cincinnati's offense last year. This is a team, because the Eagles are a running team. They're a team that's supposed to be able to run you to death because of how good Jalen Hurts is at running as well. So their Miles Sanders, Jalen Hurts combo and the way they run is supposed to be the big thing. But they're actually a super dynamic, explosive deep ball offense. A deep ball offense is really the highest compliment you can be.
They're taking big swings downfield.
Big swings.
And that's for a quarterback that we thought accuracy issues. It's not an issue. They are a big play offense. O-line's playing great. D-line's getting that. They have the best combination of O-line, D-line in the NFL.
Number 1.
Buffalo. Listen, they've won 20 of their last 28 games by blowouts. They're the Mike Tyson. Don't have much of a jet.
That's starting to become a problem, though, because on the flip side, they're losing all the close games. I'm not sure what I would rather. I'm not sure if I would rather win like 20 of 28 games by 3 points, or if I would rather win 20 of 28 by 14 points. Because if you can't win those close games, I mean, you have to win close games to win playoff games and go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl. So I think that's starting to become a bit of a detractor here, where if they don't dominate a game, if they don't dictate a game, if they don't, like the Chiefs, when they played the Chargers, they played terrible. They played a terrible game, but they beat the Chargers. They came out with a win. The Bills are the opposite. If everything isn't going right for the Bills, they're not the same team. They need to be able to win these games where they're not humming at 100%.
Jab, but if you're not prepared, it's over in the second round. They've gained 77 first downs. They have the best point differential. They have the best passing offense. I don't love their offensive line, and they are too Josh Allen centric.
I said that in my power ranking, so I'm glad Colin's watching. They are way too Josh Allen dependent. They just straight up roll a ball onto the field and say, all right, Josh Allen, go win us the game. And he does. They have to build some kind of a system, some kind of a balance on the team. They cannot just keep rolling Josh Allen out there, which is what they do. They have to dial that down a little bit, but then you wonder, like, are they the same team? Is it a Giannis situation where the Bucs are the best whenever Giannis just goes and dominates? Maybe that's the case. I don't know, but that's something I would definitely be talking about in the locker room if I was on the coaching staff.
But my eyes tell me that's the best looking roster in the league.
Realize.
With an unbelievable quarterback. And the other thing is, they're so beat up defensively. They were missing 3 starters in the secondary. In the Miami Heat, so you had less talented guys playing more snaps, and then they were missing 2 or 3 starters on the defensive line. So they were so thin going to Miami. When you go to Miami in September, you're not facing the Dolphins, you're facing the Heat.
Yeah, I mean, like that. I think what he's saying is a little too situational. Like, I think, yes, we agree. I've been saying it the whole time. That box score is not the case. Like the final score is not indicative of what happened in the game. And yes, they were beat up, and yes, they were they were in the 100-degree heat and all that stuff. But I think he's putting way too much stock into those 4 quarters instead of looking at it as more of a roster situation. But I think the Bills are, I think they're still a top 2 team in the NFL.
And the Dolphins. So I think Buffalo's still number 1. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching.
And no problem, Colin. So there it is. Boom. Pretty similar again. He had Cincy way higher than I did, and I had Jacksonville in my top 10 at 10. So that was the 2 big differences. But another good week for Colin. I think my power rankings are better. Like I said, it's always good to see that I'm thinking and saying things just so much faster than all these guys. Don't you ever forget who the number 1 guy in the industry is. It's me right here doing it just kind of by myself here with no notes or nothing.